Right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Akiolu Show. On today's show, I have with me Mr. Mobolaji and Mr. Ayo Atoyebi. They will both be sharing their perspectives on on the upcoming US elections. Thank you both for being on the show today. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. Mr. Mobolaji and Mr. Ayo are both Christians, but they have different perspectives around politics. You are both Christians, you are both tongue talking Christians, spirit filled Christians. Can you give me your perspective around how Christians should participate in politics, or if Christians should even participate in politics? We are all of Nigerian descent, and there are people who think Christians should not be participating in politics. There are others who think we should be participating in politics. What are your perspectives? Let me start with Mr. Ayer.
Yeah, thank you for that question. If I'm to just make it in summary, my perspective about Christian participating in politics is that Christians should participate in politics. Why do I say so? In some climes, people might believe, and people have the opinion that politics is a dirty game. But that is not the way I see politics. Because politics, whether we get involved or we don't get involved, it affects us one way or the other. And the best way to change a system is to be in that system. You cannot. It's much more difficult to change a system from outside. So if we, as believers, think, oh, there are certain things that are going on in the society that we want to change, and we don't want to participate in the process of that change, we can pray from now to eternity. That change will never happen. Because whether we take part in the process or we don't, somebody will have to be there, because human organization is a natural part of human existence. And if we don't do it, somebody is going to do it. And the person that's going to eventually do it might be the person who doesn't share our values. And when you are in there, you change or you frame policies that would line up with what you believe. So as believers, we must actively participate, not just to vote, but for those who have the ability to actually take part in the political process itself beyond the voting, meaning that you can be a candidate to stand up for elections, because that's where the real thing comes in. When you are in there, you can influence policies. And that is my position.
Thank you, Mr. Mobalaji.
Okay, so I have almost the same and a little bit, and a little bit of a different opinion from that. So when it comes to politics, yes, I believe Christians should be part of politics, but it's a slippery game. I know he said that he doesn't see politics as a dirty game. So if you go to places like Africa, let's use West Africa example. If you go to a country like Nigeria, politics is a dirty game. So as a Christian, if you're not really standing, you might fall. In fact, many Christians fall from going into politics because there are so many things that they will bring to you. Even if you don't want to put your hand in the cookie, they would find a way to make you to get into it. So that's why I say that, yes, we should do politics, but it's a slippery slope. It's a thin line. It's a thin line between falling away. Many people join politics and they stand their ground that, you know what, I'm going to stand for holiness and righteousness. So it's a thin line. It's a very thin line that Christians who want to join politics need to be very careful. Of course, they have to be prayerful. Of course, they have to have some kind of standing spiritually, because it's so easy to fall off into things of the world, into works of the flesh by joining politics. Now, the point that he made about making policies, yes, I agree that Christians, we need to join in so we can make policies. But let's look at it this way. Let's look at the United States of America this way. Yes, you can influence policies, but for you to have a Christian government, for you to have a God-driven government, it means everybody in the Senate will have to be born again. Everybody in the House will have to be born again. Your Supreme Court will have to be born again, plus your president. So we have to look at it. We have to look at it very objectively. Look at it from all angles. Yes, Christians should join politics, but it's a thin line. It's a thin line in between. So, which I believe that yes, Christians should join, but any Christian that is joining politics has to be careful.
That's it's that
Can,
perspective
can I
that.
say something to that?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah. You see, why I align with what my brother just said, it doesn't necessarily mean that Christian taking part in politics and trying to influence the policies does not necessarily mean that everybody in the government have to share your faith or to share your perspective. You see, the whole essence of politics and policies is people coming from different perspectives, different backgrounds. I mean, we're talking about a human society. In a human society, everybody sees things differently. So the important thing is when everybody sit at the table, they can bring different perspective and then they can arrive at a compromise that will be suitable for everybody. It doesn't mean that everybody will get everything that they want, but at least it's better than if you are not on the table when the decisions are being made. They won't have to consider your opinion. They won't have to consider your view, and they will take positions and make policies that suits them. At the end of the day, you may not like it, but I mean, what can you say? When you had the opportunity to influence what is going on, you never took part. So the essence is not that everybody have to be Christians or everybody has to be, but everybody can come to the table. And at the point where those decisions are being made, people can put input and then arrive at a compromise that will at least be suitable for, I mean, everybody will have the part that they like and the part that they don't like, but at least everybody will work out with something that benefits them. That's the
Yeah.
whole idea.
Yeah.
When it comes to influence, sorry to cut in, when it comes to influence, now you said the word influence. So we also have to look at the cost. Like, what is it costing me to join politics, right? That's what is it costing me? What is it costing my family to join politics? In some countries, like I mentioned, West Africa, like in some African countries, what is it costing me as a Christian? Is it going to cost me my faith? So all these things you have to also weigh as well. So, but if I'm joining, so I believe yes, we should come to the table. But for me to come to the table, I have to make sure that it's a place where I can make impact. There are some places where, whether you join politics, whether you are the president of that country, there's minimal impact. So you have to weigh the cost of the impact that you can make.
Yeah, it's that perspective that has made many Christians to say things like the only thing I owe the people in government is my prayers. And even the Bible encourages us to pray for those who have rulership over us so that we may live a quiet and peaceable life. So they're like, okay, as long as I'm praying for them, I think I'm fulfilling my rights. And I also see your point that you have to be at the table somehow. And the essence of governance is not that we are all thinking in the same way. In fact, if everybody in the Senate were Christians and if everybody in the House was Christian, we will still have disagreements. So the fact that we are of the same faith does not guarantee that um, we would think the same way or we have the same perspective on issues. That is, take that on one side and say that, okay, to what extent can I participate? What Mr. Mobolaji is saying, I think we've seen that on the continent of Africa and in our nation, Nigeria, where people who are professing Christians go into politics, and they don't have any meaningful impact. And most of them are even converted to the other side. Because I don't know if we should go there, but the fact that when people are in rulership, something has to be sustaining them. Something has to be sustaining them. And most people in politics in Nigeria choose the demonic dark side to get their power for sustenance. And so, to Mr. Mbolaji's point, if you are not really grounded in your faith, if you cannot pay the price, like Daniel did, look at what it took Daniel to participate in governance and in government. He had a set time of prayer. They knew that it was going to be at that time, at that place, praying. He did not, he had structure for his faith. If you are not that kind of Christian, and you're just a mouth, just how do they put it?
A mouth professing, yeah, you profess
Just a
with your mouth, but you're not
professing
a doer.
Christian. Yes, you will have your assumptions handed to you in politics if you're not careful. So anyway, so I think we should still participate, especially if there is an issue you care about. And so I think we can talk about, okay, our participation in politics, does it have to be elected position? See, that's another thing we could talk about. Does it have to be for elected position? Is our participation in politics only limited to elective positions? I think there are other roles in governance that Christians may not have to like print posters or campaign for that they could still be effective in. What do you think about that, Mr. Ayo?
Uh, you're right in saying that beyond just vying for elective position or even voting, there are other areas where Christians can take part in influencing the kind of policy that exists in the community where they live. And I'm going to give an example. A couple of years ago, there was a particular law in the US that defines marriage in one way or another. And there was something that was taking place in the state of Maryland at that particular point in time, that people were trying to make some laws in Annapolis. But because the number of people that they have to support that law, they didn't have it. The law could not pass at that time. And I do remember during that time, there was a particular politician that came to our church at that time telling people, look, this is what is going on.
Mm.
If we as Christians don't elect people that is going to make sure that this kind of thing does not happen, at the end of the day, it's going to happen the way we don't want it, and then we won't be able to do anything about it. You would think people would take that thing seriously.
Mm.
Not long afterward, a few months afterward, there was a referendum that was to take place, and they were looking for people to sign, in order to make that proposal to become a referendum. Many people in our church didn't participate. This particular one does not, you don't even have to be, you can take part in signing that petition regardless of your immigration status. Many, and I'm saying many because I personally sent that petition to many. None responded. I mean, eventually, that referendum took place. The people on the other side had their way. You know what I mean. But the other part was, even at the federal level, there was a similar law that has to be that they have to get rid of.
Are you talking about Roe v. Wade?
No, it wasn't Roe v. Wade. It wasn't Roe v. Wade. I'm talking about something about like 14 years ago now.
Okay.
About 12 years ago. Now, when that law, I mean, okay, let me be more specific now. The law was something in Defense of Marriage Act. It was a federal law. Before that law was eventually abolished. So now, at the time those things were being discussed and people could actually do something, nobody did anything, at least from our own community. And I remember the day after that law was, you now call for prayers in the church. I mean, you know what? I attended that prayer meeting, but inside of me, I was like, I mean, you are now shutting the door after the horse has bolted. So that is the kind of thing that many of us as believers do. So the thing is, now coming to answer the main question, do we have to like seek for elective position before we can influence things? Not necessarily.
Yeah.
There are times where they will call for maybe hearings or opinions or stuff like that. They will ask you sign some petition, call your representative about this and about that. It doesn't have to do with your immigration status for you to be able to do that. And a lot of time, it is the kind of pressure that those elected people receive from their constituent that eventually determine what kind of position they take. So as believers, sometimes we take some kind of lackadaisical attitude when it comes to things like that, thinking that it doesn't bother me. But at the end, so we do nothing. But at the end of the day, the people that cares, they may even be maybe just like a minority when you compare to the whole population.
Yeah.
But because they took it seriously, they became the majority who support that kind of proposal. And then the proposal, whatever it is, passes, and then we are complaining about it. So essentially, be much more than seeking for elective position, voting, and all of that, which are very important. We can also do other things that can make sure that we take part in what is affecting us and our people.
Thank you so much. Mr. Mobolaji, I imagine you agree to that. Do you
Yeah,
think we should
so
participate
I agree to a
in
point.
politics even if we are not seeking elective position?
Yes, we can. So, I mean, it doesn't have to always have to be about seeking an elective position. We can go to town halls. We can go to places where the elected official can know how we feel. You can join the board, the school board for your county. If you're in Nigeria, you can join different associations where you get to talk about how you feel to the elected officials. If in the US here, there's so many things you can do. You can go to hearings, you can go to town halls, you can be part of boards, in your county. There are many things you can also do as well. But I want us to, there's something I want to really tackle from what he said, which is about, us, electing, electing people who are Christians. And that is all good. But many times, I think all this push for Christians to join an election, to join to have an office. Sometimes, if you look at it, it's dicey, in the sense that let's say somebody is a mechanic, right? Because that mechanic is a Christian, you wouldn't tell that person to be your dentist, right?
Mhm.
So sometimes I feel like religion gets into the way. Yes, we are Christians, and the law he's talking about, yes, there's some laws. Yes, we don't want them to pass those laws. Yes, we're all for marriage. I am for marriage. I believe in the in the Bible. The Bible's the definition of marriage. But you have to also understand that you're in a country where you're not governed. Sorry, where it's not just one religion. There's some people who are not Christians. So, because I know you're saying that, oh, they allowed that law to pass. But you have to also remember that not everybody is a Christian. So the person who is governing, so if I'm the governor, I have to remember that, hey, I'm governing Christians and people who are non-Christians. So, so it looks like Christians don't put that in view. We want to force our beliefs on people. Christ never forced his belief on people, right? So there's some laws that are being passed. Yes, you can come out and say, okay, I'm against this. You go to your elected official's office, you attend meetings and tell them that I'm against this law. You fill out the petition. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't win, we shouldn't have we shouldn't be angry that something doesn't win. And many things that are even happening and the Bible that in the end days, sorry, in the end times, so things will be happening. But I see Christians whining when the Bible comes to fulfillment. We're always whining, oh, this thing is happening. The Bible says that so things will happen. And those things have to happen, or else the Bible becomes a lie. So when it comes to joining an office, you don't have to definitely be a president or be a local government chairman. You can just do the little things, little things. And I want us to remove our minds from this idea that if a Christian is not in position, that that it's not an elected official, that they can't influence the society. Jesus never had to join the Romans to influence the Roman Empire. I just want
Yeah.
to put that out.
So I think we agreed on
Can I
that.
say something?
Yes, please,
I just
Mr.
want to
Obi.
I want to correct something. I never said that only Christians should occupy positions. You see, when I was answering the question, is there any other thing that Christians can do
Yeah.
beyond vying for political office or voting? And in answering that question, I just made reference to those things. And I'm saying that in the light of the fact that I've seen instances where believers took a lackadaisical attitude to things that will affect them. Now, you see, there are two things. It's one thing for you to say something doesn't bother you and you don't take part in it. To, okay, you do all that you can, this thing did not still go your way. There are two different things. No, see, the point I'm making is not necessarily that you have to do something that everything must be in the Christian. I understand the fact that this is a multicultural, multi-religious, multi so many things society. Everybody cannot have the same faith. Everybody cannot have the same perspective, even over one issue. I understand that, but I'm answering the question from the background of, is that something that a believer can do, a Christian believer can do beyond seeking elective position and voting? And I made those examples to clarify that there are things that we can do. We can get up to say, okay, if there's something that is coming down the pike that we don't like, we can rise up we can petition it. Now, is this saying that okay, if the people who are in favor of that petition goes through, fine. If it doesn't, at the end of the day, your conscience is clear that you've done the best that you can. And the more people who are in favor or against one, that way you have done all that you could. But it's not the same thing as you sitting back and saying somebody else will do it. That's
Yeah.
the point I'm making. I'm not saying that. I'm not even saying that that you should only vote for somebody who is a Christian, because somebody you don't really know many of these people. They can have Christian names, but you don't even know whether they are Christian in the real meaning of being believer. So the thing is, at the end of the day, most of the time, the only way we can actually determine, okay, who to vote for or not to vote for is look at their policies, because that's essentially what will affect you at the end of the day. It is not whether they pray 5 times a day or they don't pray at all.
Okay.
Look at their policies, because it is their policy that will influence that will influence you or somebody that is close to you. That's
Okay.
the point I'm making. So I'm not
Yeah.
saying, oh, you can only vote for a Christian. No, that's not. For example, that I've voted a lot of times, and I voted for people who are not Christians. When I look at the policy, okay, this is the policy that suits me. Okay, this is the one that will do something that I will prefer. It doesn't have to share my faith, because I know they are not going there to do a Sunday school lesson. You understand what I'm saying?
We will get to
But
those
that's my point,
detailed.
though.
We will get to those detailed policy issues. It's in the best interest of the society when righteous people are in authority. Don't we don't want we don't want people to every elected official to be a Christian. But the Bible tells us that when the righteous is in authority, the people rejoice. When the wicked rule, the people groan. So yes, they may not.
I think you need to really we need to people are already always quoting that scripture that you just quoted now. So and it still goes back to what I said. So if somebody's not qualified, as long as they are righteous, it's okay for them to be elected. Because
No,
that's kind of like what we are saying.
no, that's not what I'm
I'm
saying.
just saying that out there.
That's not exactly what I'm saying. I'm just saying that if people who are righteous, I'm saying that yes, we are not living in a society where we only have Christians. We are it's a multicultural, multi-religious society. But even the society was founded on Christian values, and it is the foundation of the Christian values that has made it last this long, right? So that is just proof that the fact that we are multi-religious, multi cultural does not mean we should throw away our Christian values. It is the Christian values that have sustained the society and given it longevity, right? That's what I'm saying. And so it is still in the best interest of the society to still or sin. For example, stealing. To legalize stealing and looting will be wrong. Nobody will want to live in that kind of society. And it is the foundation of of that kind of law is from the scriptures that says that. So that's why I'm saying that it is in the best interest of the society. Even those who are not Christians would agree that they want you to rule them based on Christian values, even those who are not Christians. So we're not saying
Right.
that everybody,
And I,
everybody
and,
in
I,
a
and, I,
Christian
and I
school.
agree with that. But I just feel like for our viewers, we need to draw that line because many times I see people like all their focus is on okay, is this person a Christian? Does this person have Christian values? It doesn't matter that even if they're not qualified, but if they have Christian values, it's okay. So I want us to like really iron that out.
Okay, I want us to move on. We've spent a lot of time on that. I want us to talk about. I want us to talk about. I think we've talked about it a little bit. How immigrants who are not who cannot vote yet, how they can participate in in the electoral process, and how they can still support maybe a candidate of their choosing and uplift maybe a candidate that appeals to them. Are there other things that come to your mind how an immigrant, maybe who is a Christian or not a Christian even, can still voices heard, make their preferred candidates known?
When you say an immigrant, you're talking about somebody who is a legal immigrant or non-legal.
Talk about We can talk about both.
Okay, so if even if you're a non even an illegal immigrant, There's all many things you can do. You can volunteer. You can post on your social media. You can volunteer. There are many places where you can go out and volunteer. On election day, you can carry placards. You can carry flyers for that candidate that has the values, the policies that you're looking for. So, and if you're a legal immigrant, there's so many things you can do as well. You can do those same things as well. You can also decide to join that person's campaign and volunteer. So there's so many volunteering opportunities in the people who are seeking positions. They always have these things out on their website that, okay, if you want to volunteer,
You can knock on
fill out
doors.
this form, and so you can also give too as well. So you can endorse if you have a platform, you can endorse a candidate too as well. You can also give too as well.
Yeah, Mr. Ayo, you have anything to say on that?
Yeah, essentially what Brady just said is the same thing. Because definitely, even if you are a documented immigrant and you're not a citizen yet, you can't vote. That's basic. But like we already mentioned, there are things that we can do. For example, I mean, we can sign petitions. You can carry placard for the person you are supporting. You can do door knocking for what would have been your preferred candidate if you had the opportunity to vote. All those things does not require you to be able to vote, to be able to do all those things. So there are some of the things that we can do. And for the people who are going to maybe eventually vote, you can express your feeling. Maybe you may never know. You might be able to convince one or two to say, hey, you know what? This is the way I look at these things. And, I mean, you market your ideas and you see if you're able to convince them, don't be surprised. You might be able to change one or two minds to be able to vote the way you will have wanted them to vote. So many things, except that, of course, you still cannot vote. But those things you can do. And for those of us who can do it, we must not shy away from doing that.
Yeah. Many people choose their candidates not really based on research and reasoned positions. So as an immigrant who may not be able to vote, engaging such people in conversations, some people who just choose their candidate based on what they see on the news. At least they've not looked below the surface. So if you are somebody given to looking below the surface and really deep diving on issues, you can share that knowledge that you gain from your research and from things like that with people, and it may be able to sway them. All right. If it's not already apparent, Mr. Mobolaji leans
Right.
left. For those for those who are watching us, in case it's not yet apparent, let me just put it out there. Mr. Mobolaji leans left and is supportive of policies of the Democratic Party. You can put the caveat later. Don't worry.
I'm an independent, but I lean towards common sense politics.
All
And
right.
I still don't understand who named something left and right.
All
How,
right.
how we get
You just
how
don't
we get
like
this
the
thing correct.
left.
I also like them calling people who have different opinions left.
Okay. Okay.
But we're going to take for tonight.
What about liberal? You are liberal.
Hmm. I have dominion. God has given me dominion.
Right. You have a chance to put all the caveats you want to put. But so he leans left. He supports most of the policies of the Democratic Party, and Mr. Ayo is most supportive of policies of the Republican Party. Let me start with you, Mr. Ayo. Why do you support Donald Trump? And why do you want him to win the election next month?
Okay, let me make it first for now. Donald Trump only represents a policy, meaning that substitute Kamala Harris with the policy of the Republican Party. I probably will vote for her. I want to get that one clear. So it's not really about the personality,
Okay.
it's about the policy. So now that said, let me say this, and I know we'll probably agree to some extent on that. Like many immigrants, when we first of all came into this system, we absorbed the political environment that we find ourselves inside. Meaning that if you find yourself in an environment that is majorly Democrat, the tendency for you to flow along that line is there. In the same way, if you find yourself in an environment that is majorly Republican, it is most likely that you flow along that line as well. Now, that is the starting point for most immigrants when they first came. And I'm not different. When I came into this country, even though when I came in, I couldn't vote when I first came in. But I was following, and the environment, the people I was living with, all of them had that alignment to the Democratic Party. And that was the gap I put on myself. In fact, when I got to the level where I could vote, my very first vote was straight line Democrat. You'll be surprised. Because at that time, I wasn't looking at policy or you just say, oh, it's Democrat. I don't even know who those candidates are. Who were. I mean, at the time, I just, oh, Democrat, it was straight line Democrat. But there was a particular one that now began to make me to think, let me begin to look more deeply into what is going on here. And after there was a particular election, after I cast my vote, as soon as that person won, as soon as the person got into office, he began to do certain things that I'm like, wait a minute. This is not what I bargained for. This is not what I wanted. So from that moment on, I started paying attention to what each of these political parties says. So when I say something, I try to go back and do a research on my own and say exactly, okay, what is this thing about? And then it didn't take me long before I knew that the media in America is biased. In fact, there was an article I wrote on the Facebook 2014 I mentioned something to that effect, that the media in America is so biased that for you to be able to know what's going on, it is like you have to actually witness those things yourself. Because whether it is the right or the left, they can see a particular situation. They will frame it in a way that paint a narrative that they want their viewers to have. In this case, it is not just, it's both sides, whether you are talking about the right or the left. So the thing is, over time, I began to do my own independent assessment of each of these political parties and what they stand for. At the end of the day, I found out that some of the policies of the Democrats are not the kind of thing that I really want. So I switched. Now, is this saying that every party will satisfy what you want? No, that's not the point I'm making. But there are times that you can have many, many policies, different policies. You get some, there will be some that you like, there will be some that you don't like. But there are times that you have to look at, okay, which one is my priority among all of this? And sometimes that may be what informs the kind of, how you align your voting or your voting pattern. And I must say this, even up to now, for like local elections, like maybe like county elections, sometimes I still vote Democrat because I look at, some of the things that they want to do, maybe sometimes I look at the personality and I say, okay, maybe I can deal with this one. You understand? But when it comes to like federal elections, that has a larger than life impact for me. And so I look at their policy. No, it's not the personality. I look at their policies. And it is the policies that I vote for. And that's what I still say, that if somebody who carried the banner of D can still carry the banner of D with the policies of the banner of R, he or she might get my vote. At the same time, if somebody who carries the banner of R switch to the policies of D, regardless of how many R he has in front of his name or her name, he's not going to get my vote. So it is the policy. It just happened that the policy that I subscribe to majorly aligns with those on the right. Okay. So it's not really about Donald Trump. It's about the policy, because right now the focus is on Donald Trump. And when you look at the policies, see, there seems to be a particular demonization of people on the right. So it's happening before Donald Trump came to the picture. I mean, go back to the time of Bush, how he was castigated and everything. Go to the time of McCain, how he was called names and all of that. Go to the time of Mitt Romney, how he was given all kind of names. So the thing is, whether that Trump wins or not, 4 years from now, it's not going to be Donald Trump. That's a fact. Regardless of what the liberal media or the Democrats are saying, that it's going to be, it's not going to leave, it's going to perpetuate himself. All of those are just nonsense. It's not going to happen. So, but the thing is, whether he wins or he doesn't, he's not going to be there again as a candidate in 2028. Somebody else will be carrying the banner of R. But guess what's going to happen? The same way they're castigating him now, it's going to be the same way they're going to castigate that person. You know, many of them are praising Nikki Haley now. Let Nikki Haley become the candidate in 2028 and see what's going to happen. I will remind you that I say, hey, brother, can you remember what I said in 2024? So it's the same thing. Remember, everybody was praising Hogan as the governor of Maryland. They like him. And I mean, they've tested him for 8 years, so they know what he could do. You understand? A lot of things, you see, if Hogan were to be my candidate, but I do the candidate, I will vote for him. But guess what is happening now? Okay. So the point I'm making is not essentially about R or D. It's about the policy. Because if it is the personality, if the personality changes, then you might consider something. But so if the policy remains the same, regardless of who the personality is, it's still going to be the same way when it comes to my voting pattern. And that's what I have to say.
All right. So you're supporting the Republican Party because of their policies, not because of the personality on top of the ticket. All right. Mr. Mobolaji, the floor is yours.
So,
Why do you support the Democratic Party and why do you want Kamala Harris to win?
okay, so as an independent, the reason why I always lean or mostly lean Democrat is um, the personality of the person who is being taking the banner of the party, and also the policies of the person. So for me, it's both. I know Brian said that it's just the policy. For me, it's both the personality and the policy. And I'll tell you this: if you go to a party, when you get to the party, the music is sounding good, everything is sounding good. You enter, you can smell the food, everything is going good. The first thing that will determine which table you are sitting at is who's on the table. People on the table, they look like me. People on the table, can I relate to them? People on the table, I mean, are there people I can flow with? So if you now look around, you don't see anybody, then you just go to any table. But then when you see your friends at one table, you're going to go to their table. Now, when it comes to Democratic Party, I don't agree with many things they stand for, and I don't agree with many things that Republicans stand for as well. But there's something that they do that I like, which is inclusive. They include everybody. It's a party for all. So some of their policies I don't agree with, but most of their policies actually help the poor people. Most of their policies help people that look like me. If you go to the Democratic Party, you will see many people at leadership positions that look like me. I will ask whether you're later on. How many people in the Republican Party look like you, sir? You probably have to go down deep before you can find somebody that looks like you. How many people have an accent like me that will be allowed to grow in a party to a higher position? Right? So those are things I look at. What does that person stand for? Now, when it comes to the candidates, what do they stand for? Their personality matters to me, right? So the candidate that you stand for, I don't know if you wake up in the morning and pray like, let my child be like so so and so. When Obama was president, everybody was saying, "Oh, I want my child to be like President Obama," right? There's a reason why, because of his personality. So for me, it's not just policies. Policies matters, but also personality. And for me, I don't hold it in the way I take is that, can this person do the job? Because the position of president is not the position of pastor, right? But can this person do the job? What policies they stand for? They might not have everything. I might not agree with everything they stand for, but most of the things they do, I know it favors people that look like me. I'll give you some more examples. When Obama was president, they kept on hammering, they kept on antagonizing that, oh, he's not an American citizen. There was a certain party that was doing that. Because he wasn't born in America. The same way they're saying that Kamala is not black right now. Those kind of things, it kind of like tends towards hate. And one thing that I used to love Republican Party. By the way, I voted for Hogan when Hogan was governor. But of course, I will not vote for him now because I do not want the Senate to be ruled by Republicans. That's the only reason why. Hogan is a good person, but I will not vote for him. So I weigh everything on the short run, on the long run. On the long run, I know if I vote for Hogan, I know what will happen. And the power will tip in the Senate.
You
But if you
mean
look at
if Hogan
Republicans,
wins?
if Hogan wins,
Yes.
so that's the reason why. And also, if you look at the Republican Party, I mean, for me, it's not about just about party. For me, it's not about party. It's about the personality of the person and also the policy that they stand for. What do these people stand for? I'll give you another example. I know he mentioned that they have a lot of policies that might be Christ-like or whatever. But if you look at them a lot, they say they love God, but they don't love people. You can't tell me you love God and don't love people. So I see that aspect a lot. I see that the hypocrisy. There's so much hypocrisy when it comes to that party. Democrats, you know what you are getting. I know this is what I'm getting. I know that okay, this is what they stand for, right? They include
So you are saying
everybody.
that there is no hypocrisy in the Democratic Party?
There is, but at least we know what they are for. They let you know, okay, this is where we are going. This is what we stand for. But with the Republican Party, many times they're hypocrites. They say we are pro-life, but they are pro-gun too. They don't mind, the shootings that are going in the black communities. They say, you know what? Oh, we want this. But if you look at the other thing they are doing, it's actually doesn't make sense. It's like it's kind of like somebody saying two different things at the same time. So
Okay.
for
So
me, I
so
always lean Democrat.
yeah, go ahead, sir.
I always
Finish.
lean Democrat because I just believe that they include everybody, and even as immigrants, their policies favor immigrants. Just 4 years ago, you couldn't come to United States. You couldn't bring your family to United
We
States
can talk about
because
immigration when we start doing the deep dive on each policy area. So you support the Democratic Party because you perceive them as being more inclusive of everybody. That look like us can aspire to positions of leadership within the Democratic Party, and you think that that is not possible in the Republican Party.
very narrow.
Okay, Mr. Ayo, do you have any response to
Yes, I
that?
do.
A brief one, please.
You see, this is the kind of narrative that Democrats throw around. That, oh, you see, in the Republican Party, you don't see people like me. But the thing is, the question to them is, when you want to join a party, whether Republic, did they tell you, oh, because you're black, you cannot join us? Never. Now the thing now is look at the attitude of Democrats towards blacks and the people they describe as the minority when they don't belong to the Democratic Party. Democrats will tell you, we are for the blacks, we are for the minority. But pick up a black or a minority who is not a Democrat. You see the way they're going to lambast that person? You see the way they're going to call them names? You understand what I'm saying? So the thing is,
But the same
you
thing,
see,
the same thing applies to
there
Republicans.
is this a kind of default belief among Democrats that once you are black or you're a minority, you have to be a Democrat. You have to think like the Democrat. You have to act like Democrat. And if you are not doing that, they think you don't belong. They call you names. I mean, there are blacks in the Republican Party. What about Tim Scott? You know how many
You are
times they
calling
call
us.
Tim
You are
Scott
calling us
names?
names now.
They call him Uncle. They call him Uncle Tom. You remember Larry Eder?
They
Listen,
call us
I mean,
names too. They call
I'm not
blacks or
saying I'm
Democrats
talking.
names too.
I allow you to say everything I wanted to say without interrupting you. So I'm just giving you examples. Now you're saying, oh, you don't see any black that rise to any position of power in the Republican Party. Tom Scott is a senator from South Carolina. You know how they up to today they still demonize Tim Scott, who is black. Why do they do that? Because he's a Republican. You get the point I'm making. You see the way they talk about Larry Elder, when he was contesting for the governorship during the time they want to remove Newsom, they were calling him the white face, the black face of white supremacy. This is a black man. Why? Because he was black and he's a Republican. Talk about somebody, a black man has been a Republican governor in Michigan. So you can pick them all over the place. It's like Democrats have a default position that if you are black or a minority, they'll say they are for you until you don't talk like them, you don't vote like them, you don't act like them. Then they give you names and they cast aspersions on you. You see the point I'm making? Now, guess what's going to happen? In about 2 years from now, the position in Virginia governorship will open up. And it's going to be a black woman will be a Republican candidate. Guess what's going to happen? You know, they love blacks and minority. I'm going to remind you, Bracken, this time next year, that will be the time for that lady to contest. You're going to see how they're going to hammer her because even though she's black, but because she's Republican. So the thing is, there's this default position that Democrats have. They put up the front like, oh, we are for the minority, we are for the blacks. But when that black is not a Democrat, they demonize them. Why is it like that?
Yes. So
this is America.
I have to cut you short. Sorry, so that we can just move the conversation along.
So, can I quickly respond to that?
Yes, 30 seconds, please.
Okay, so I want to say that that is not true, sir, because guess what? It's what the Republican Party has always stood for. Like, if you're a black person, the fact that you're even saying that because somebody's a Democrat because they're black is insulting, first of all. And that's one of the things that Republicans do. They kind of say, okay, because you are black, you have to be a Republican, because you're a Democrat, is because you are black. That's actually insulting.
No,
which is not true.
That's the perception.
When it comes to that, it's actually Democrats.
I'm not saying that's the perception.
It's the Democrats that actually have that position. Take for example,
we've seen it from
in 2020. In 2020,
but
Biden,
the Republicans do the same thing. The Republicans do the same thing.
Biden was saying, if you are not, if you don't vote for me, then you are not black. What does that mean? It means they expect you that if you are black, you must vote Democrat.
The same thing happens to Republicans too.
He said it.
But the same thing happens on the Republican side.
He said it.
The same thing happens on the Republican side.
Then
look at the way they are demonizing Harris right now.
For example,
but look at the way they are demonizing Harris.
For example, you see, Democrat will come out with some things
I think I have the floor.
The black and the minority as if they don't have a sense of risk for themselves. Take for example,
let me start.
In states where they,
I want to
when they want to request for like voter ID, for example, you know what the Democrats' argument against that would be? You say it will impact the minority, it will impact the black. It is as if because you are black, you cannot get the driver's license. It's because you are a minority.
It's because so all the laws that are made by Republicans
the Democrats make to put the minorities down, to put the black people down as if they cannot think for themselves, they cannot reason for themselves. You understand? So,
but that's the problem. The other day, the fact that Republicans are thinking that Obama went to the problem.
A Pennsylvania.
No, I don't think that's true. I don't think that's true. The problem is the Republicans are always pointing at our race. The same thing they're doing for Kamala now. They did it for Obama. Oh, he wasn't born in America. The reason why it's like that is because Republicans are always trying to, use our race against us, right? They always come with this hate, passive aggressive kind of thing. Like, oh, because you're black.
When it comes to race politics,
that's why you're voting for Democrats.
Do you agree that when it comes to race politics, when it comes to identity politics, it's actually Democrats that play that politics. Identity politics. They are the ones that will say, minority, they are against you because you are black, they're against you because you are brown, they're against you because you are Asian.
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. But it goes on both ways. It goes both ways.
Let him finish, please, so that the people listening can have a good experience.
It goes both ways. It's about the perception. The perception that Republicans give is that, hey, because you're black, you can't reach a certain position. As I said, you mentioned Tim Scott. Tim Scott, I mean, you can't really count Tim Scott as a leader in the Republican Party. I'm talking about those who are high up there. How come an African American is not, I mean, will not be the head in the Senate or in the Congress? It's not going to be possible, right? If the Republicans are the ones
So,
who have
so
the
is
House,
that is
who
that
have the
is
House
that
and
a
the
is
Senate.
that a problem of the Republican Party or an
Exactly.
American
You have to vote.
problem?
I mean, so
You have to
that's
vote.
the
No, what
thing.
I'm saying is that
Oh, you see, that's
within
another
their
see,
party, within their
that's another
party,
problem with the Democratic.
with,
They
there's
believe that
segregation within their party.
because you have a particular skin color, a particular position must be reserved for you. That's nonsense.
No. I'm not
That's
saying that,
exactly what they're
but I
saying.
should be also be able to
They're
attain
just
that
playing around
position.
with words
What I'm
by
saying is
saying
that
that
I
okay,
should be
because you
able to
carry a
attain
particular
that
color,
position.
we have to reserve a particular position for you. It's
That's
nonsense.
not what I'm
It is
saying.
democracy.
But I should be able to get to that
If you want
position.
to
Do
occupy
you
a
agree?
position, put yourself up for election. Let the people vote. If they vote for you, fine. If they don't, it's
So I'm not talking about positions where the people are voting. I'm talking about positions within the
so
party.
the same
Within
way
the
you
party where
saying
the party members have to choose the leader. I'm talking about positions where the party has to choose the leader. Many times Republicans they will streamline people, and it's not just even about color. They streamline even wealth too, right? They favor the rich. They do not favor the middle class. Look at Trump policies. Trump policies always favors the rich, never favors the middle class.
Okay, so
The middle
let's
class carries America.
let's let's
So
move
those are
on.
those
see
are reasons why
that's the kind
most
of
people
segregation I'm talking
those
about.
are reasons why
You see,
most black people
that is
lean
the
Democrat.
Democrat politics. They segregate
And
they
we need to
segregate
change that
people
narrative. We need to change that
based on the
narrative
color
that
of their
because
skin.
you're
They
But
segregate
let's
people
minimize
no,
the
we need to change
based
that
on their
narrative.
economic status. So
right.
see, I came into America as an immigrant, but the thing is, I don't see myself as less than anybody else. You understand? I came in here.
I
I
don't
worked
see
my way to
myself
where
as
I am
less, but you
Don't
today
don't give me
because
interrupt.
the
health. Do
opportunity.
you
Don't
understand?
interrupt.
So
One
the thing
person at a
is
But
time.
you don't give me the
to say
opportunity.
that when government do a
One person at a
policy, they
time,
do it
please.
to favor a particular race or a particular weight class
Because they're not
is
giving the other
madness
race
to
the
me
opportunity.
because
Can
that's
you
not the
address
truth.
that? They're not giving the other race the
But
opportunity to attain.
that's the way the Democrats frame their narrative so that they can continuously perpetuate that victimhood among the so-called minority and the blacks to make them say you are victim of this.
Okay.
But they are victims, though.
When you are black, oh,
But
white is your
they are
problem.
victims, right?
Oh,
They
when you
are
are rich,
victims.
when you are poor, oh, the rich is your problem. So all of those things, they are identity politics. You segregate them in terms of their economic class, segregate them in terms of their skin color. That's the kind of politics that Democrats play. And I was able to see that a long time ago. So I don't go by it anymore. That's the point I'm making.
But
Okay.
Republicans do segregate. But Republicans do segregate, and
All
that's one of
right.
the reasons why many people don't. Many people lean either independent or they lean Democrat
All
because
right.
Republicans do segregate either by people's skin color or by their status or by how wealthy they are.
All right. Thank you. Thank you both. Thank you both. All right. I really want those who are listening to have a good experience and hear what each of you are trying to say because that's really where the value of this is. So let's minimize the interruption as much as possible so that people can
Okay.
hear you and hear point you're trying to pass across. I want us to do a deep dive. I think we already started talking about. I want us to talk about the economy. Obviously, both of you have strong opinions about the policies of the Democratic Party. You have a strong opinion, Mr. Ayo, about the policies of the Republican Party. Seems like both of you are voting because of policies. I would imagine that Mr. Mobolaji is voting primarily because of the friendly immigration stance of the Democratic Party. So let's start from immigration and talk about um, immigration. There are those who say that a country is not a country except it has borders, defined borders. Over the past 18 months or so, a lot of this is not hearsay. This is from the agency that a lot of undocumented immigrants have been flooding into the country. Is that the kind of country we want to build, or are there things that should be done to make sure we have a sensible immigration policy? And what in particular about the immigration policy of the Democratic Party that you are most that you like? Is it because a family members can come from Nigeria to and bring their family, and people can come from Nigeria to bring their family here and things like that? Let's talk about immigration.
Of course, the policy that Democrats have that the Democrats believe in building bridges and not walls. That's one of the things for me that I really like about them. They build bridges and no walls. And all this issue about people coming in. Let's look at the people who are coming in illegally. Some of the countries are from El Salvador. They're from countries where there's war. And the Republicans claim to really love God and love people, but they're careless about what's happening to their fellow human beings, right? Whatever you do to these ones you have done to me is what Christ said, right? So if we look at these things, I also believe in sensible immigration policies. There have been so many nonsensible immigration policies, like the ones that we had during the Trump era, where if you are visiting the United States, you could come in. But if you want to bring your wife, people got married to people in other countries. They couldn't bring them. Nigeria is one of the countries. People couldn't bring their siblings. People couldn't bring their children, their own children, or their parents because of his immigration policies, which is not fair. So for us to have a sensible immigration policy, it will be a policy that is fair across all. Like, it's not like you're segregating some countries. I know there are some reasons why some countries were segregated, but if you look at it thoroughly, if you look at it deep down, that wasn't sensible at all. Those policies that were made, because people were still visiting anyhow, right? Where they could make money compared to families coming in. They kind of like banned the family chain immigration, which I felt was not sensible at all. It didn't make
So,
sense at all.
what is the policy of what's Kamala Harris' policy on immigration? What would she do differently than what Joe Biden is currently doing right now?
I think she's gonna secure the border more, right? So all the issues that people are coming in, all the thieves and bad people are coming in from jail to United States. That's not true at all. Many of these people, they come. My parents were immigrants. You know, they came here. They came to work. They went to school. They work. I would say 99% of immigrants that come in, they're here to have a better life. They're not here to suck up our resources, and they also add to the economy of the nation, right? The immigrants add to our economy. They help us when it comes to our GDP, and when it comes to our economies, they help us. So a sensible immigration policy, to me, I think Kamala Harris will bring something sensible. Yes, we're going to secure our borders, right? And let people come in the legal way. But at the same time, I think some empathy has to be made too as well. And we're not
Okay,
saying that people should come in illegally, but there has to be sensible immigration policies.
thank you, Mr. Ayo.
Yeah, thank you for letting me respond to that. You see, it's one thing for people to just repeat the typical narrative of the Democratic Party without going back to study to find out on their own what essentially is the current immigration policy in place. You see, right now, regardless of whether you have a Republican in the White House or a Democrat in the White House, there currently a set rule for immigration purpose. I'm going to elaborate on that briefly. In the what they call Immigration and Nationality Act, every year that act set out the maximum number of immigrant visas that can be granted in a particular year by the Department of State. Now, that is broken down to either family or work related. Now, when it comes to family related immigrant visas, they are also broken down to two main sections. There's a part that is called immediate relatives. Your immediate relative under that act is defined as your spouse, your unmarried children below the age of 21, then your parents, then you can move on to your brothers, your siblings, before you move on to your uncle and auntie and whatever it is. So, and then there's something they call priority. Now, when it comes to the availability of visa, like I said, there's what they call visa availability that is designed every year. There's a number. The only one that does not have a limit is the one that has to do with your immediate relatives. And again, immediate relative refers to your spouse, your married children below the age of 21, or your parent. So those ones, they don't have a limit. All right. Now, when they sent the number of visa that can be available in a particular year. They also call what they call chargeability. You can go and find out what that is. Chargeability means that, let's say, for example, they say they're going to issue a total of maybe 300,000 immigrant visas in a particular year. They can say that, okay, for all the categories, we can say, okay, for this country, that country, they can say, for this country, based on how many of their immigrants are already in the country, this is the number that will be assigned to that particular country. Okay? That's so now the thing, then, so as they apply, they're now giving what they call priority date. The priority date is the day they apply. You file for we use the word file. You file for somebody, then you are given a priority date. Now, if you are among those who are unlimited, like your immediate relatives, you can get processed faster. But if you're among those who have a cap, then
Yeah, I
if
really
the
want you
number
to
of
get
visa
to the
available
point,
for
sir.
your
I really want you
category
to.
has
Yeah,
been exhausted, they may have to put you on a
yeah.
queue. And that applies to everybody. It's not limited to either country or race or anything. Just listen. So I'm just trying to educate you so that you know exactly how this thing works. So saying that during Trump, they say you cannot bring your family, that is not true. It's not true. You see, when you file, depending on the category that the person you are filing for may determine whether they can get processed faster or they can have a backlog. Now, coming to the issue of what is happening presently, the thing is now people. So that is the legal way, the proper way to do these things, and there's so many different visa categories that people can access legally. Now, the thing is, when people do it, of course, there could be backlog. The backlog is not determined by where you're coming from, whether you are black or white. It depends on, again, the limit is already established by law. So regardless of where it's in the White House, it doesn't matter. So the thing now is, the other part, which is happening now is, we now have an addition in the White House that says everybody can come in.
Yes, that's true.
But the thing is, now they will say, oh, it is humane. When you say, look, you see, this is a nation of immigrants. We are all immigrants. And the narrative will be that, oh, Republican doesn't like immigrants. That is not true again, but that's the narrative of the liberal media and the Democrats. The thing is, what the Republican Party is saying is, there's a process. Let people follow the correct process. And this is the way I describe it. This way I describe it. Say, for example, you have a big house. You are a wealthy man. You want to help everybody. But you say, okay, if you get into my house, you're going to enjoy all the good things that I have in my house. Then for you to get into my house, you have to come through the front door. You get the point I'm making? Now, you have to, so now people now say everybody wants to come. So people line up in the front door. Now, some people now came and say, wow, this is a big house, but this line is so long. You know what? I can't wait for this line to get to me. You know what I'm going to do? I go around the house, pull down the window, and get inside. Democrat will say, okay, once you are inside, stay. The Republican will say, no, that's not the way it works. The thing is, we want you to come in, but you have to come in through the channel that the law has laid down. Now you can say, "Oh, that's not," as they say it. You are not. There's a time they use. I'm trying to remember now. They say you don't love people. You don't love. But the thing is, it's a question of one thing you're going to know about America. America is a nation of laws. Everybody who lives in America a few years will know that for sure. So the thing is, now what is happening now is, you have people who have been staying in line for years, waiting for their turn in the proper way. And then you now have millions that are coming from all over the place. You understand? And Democrats are saying, just come in, just come in, just come in. So the thing is, where is the fairness in that? The question, where is the fairness in that? So, and the thing I tell people is, when they say you don't love people, you don't do, and I tell them, okay, put yourself, just consider yourself in that position. Now, forget about a nation. Now, you as an individual, you have a big house, okay? You love people, you want to help people. But at the same time, 100, 200 people just came from nowhere to your front door and say, open the door for I want to get in and enjoy what you have in your house. You say, wait a minute. I love people, I want to help people. But that's not the way I do it. So if you as an individual can do that in your own house, why do you think it's wrong for a nation to say, look, you want people to come into this place, but there's a proper way to do it? And that is the difference.
Okay.
But you see, the way they frame the whole thing is the Republican doesn't like immigrant. No, the Republican doesn't have anything against immigrant. I'm an immigrant. Okay? And I want more immigrants to come in. But the thing is, I'm also for fairness. Play by the rule. That's the point I'm making.
Okay. Thank you. That's
So
a very
because the
fair
thing is,
point.
anybody can come in through the way they are coming in now. So what's the essence of the rule for those who are waiting to play by the rule? Just open it for everybody then.
No,
For example,
I need to correct
if you want to
something
go
that
to
you
a
said. You
country,
said
for example, you want to go to a country that needs a visa, for you to go there, you still have to get a visa. You understand? But then, if some people can go into that country without a visa, what's the essence of saying some people have to come in with a visa? Just if you want everybody to just leave it open for everybody, so that everybody that want to come in can come in.
All right.
But if you still saying you want to maintain that
Yes.
rule, then you have to maintain the rule for
so.
everybody.
That's not true. That's not true. That's not true. First of all, when you talked about the whole immigration process, I understood that. But what you just explained
Please, no
was actually for
interruption.
the what you just explained was actually for the visa lottery. What you
It's not
explained
the
was
visa
the visa
lottery.
lottery.
It's not the visa lottery
During
I'm
the
saying. Go back.
wait, and during the Trump era. So
Go
let me
back.
tell you this. During the
Wait,
Trump
wait,
era.
wait. Go to the go to
Let me.
the state of
Let
Gulf.
Mr. Mobolaji finish.
Go and find out. This everything I'm talking about is
I
online. You
have the
can
floor.
find out.
So let me.
This is not about lottery
Okay.
visa. It's
No,
about proper
so
Okay.
you can find out
immigrant
during the
visa.
Trump era. During the Trump era, it didn't matter if they were your immediate family or not. You couldn't come into the United States. I know many people even people who are close to me, no matter how they are family-wise, even if you were married to them, if they were your wife, your immediate family, your child, you couldn't bring them in during the Trump era. There was a ban on Nigeria during the Trump era, which was done in other countries.
So
Only a couple
it
of
was not
countries.
all through the Trump era. It was
Yes.
early on, and that ban was lifted. It's the so-called
No,
Muslim
no,
ban.
it was
not
lifted
true.
by. No,
That's not true.
Let me tell you this. The ban was lifted by Biden. The ban was lifted by Biden, and Trump has allegedly said that on day one, once he gets back, he's putting those laws back again. So there's so many reasons why immigration-wise, why the Republican Party they're don't like they're not immigration friendly. So let's establish that. And this country was
When you say
built
they're
on the
not
backs of
immigration
immigrants.
friendly, explain what you mean by that. So because they said
Immigration friendly. They don't want
because they say
other
that people
nations
should
to
play by
come.
the rule, that is what you consider not immigration friendly.
We're not saying that we're not saying that people should break the rules,
So
but we should be accommodating what
what
we are
is
saying.
happening? What
Somebody accommodated
you
you,
tell
sir.
me?
You're an immigrant. Somebody
You
accommodated
tell
you.
me what is happening right now. Is that following the rule or breaking the rule?
Yes, there are lapses at the border. I agree. There are some
So
lapses at the
so
border,
what
but you know,
so what's the point you're
we
making?
grow and learn.
So what's the point you're
No, so the
making?
point I make is that we grow and learn. There are lapses. There's no perfect place. There's no perfect place. There's no perfect leader, right? There are some lapses at the border, but I believe if Kamala Harris wins, that she will take care of those things.
If
But also, we have to have
you want to
sensible
tell me she's going to take
immigration
care of it,
policies in place.
Okay.
No, but remember she was the vice president. No, remember she was the vice president. She wasn't the president. She wasn't the president. So you can't put that on her because she was the vice president. She wasn't the president.
if you are a deputy to somebody that you are running an administration together with, and you want that administration to succeed, and you know that person is doing something that is not proper, or you think my result is something that's not good, you won't tell that person, boss, let's do it this way. Is that what you're saying? So if that is the kind of
No,
relation
but that's
that
not how it
exists
works in the United States. That's not how it
between
works in the
her
United States.
and the current president, then where is the admission? What kind of admission is that? That because I'm the vice
Okay.
president. So
We are not
you
running
don't have to
against
say
Biden here.
when with one mouth she's saying I'm the last person to do everything that we did it together. So you are saying she cannot advise her boss if
No,
her boss
she
is
was the
violating the
vice
rule?
president. She wasn't
Come
the
on.
president.
I mean, you
I
tell that to
want
She
the
was the
Marines,
vice
only
president,
the
not the
Marines will believe
president.
you that one.
So you have to understand how the US government works. She was the vice president, not the president.
So let me chime
And
in here.
we're not saying open the borders. I'm not saying open the borders like everybody should just come in illegally, right? As I said, it's not a perfect process. There are some lapses at the borders. But guess what? But we should be more immigration friendly, which I've not seen. The Republicans are very non-friendly when it comes to immigration.
So
They don't
so
want people coming in.
Again, I'm putting
let's
it
just
across to
come
you now so that you can
in
put it
here
on the
just
record.
for the sake of
Because you see, when you make a general statement, it doesn't cut out anything. I mean, it's a good narrative. It
I'm not
doesn't
talking
explain
about
anything.
immigration
When you
quota.
say they are not immigration friendly, so are you saying that insisting that follow the existing law is not immigration friendly, or break the law and do whatever you like that is currently happening, that's
No,
immigration
no, 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 no,
friendly?
no. I'm saying is
let's
that
Explain
let
what
it
you
be
mean
let's
so that
fair.
let's
our
Let
audience
it be
can actually
fair.
understand what you're talking
let
Let
about.
the laws be fair across. Let it be fair across. The laws right now are not fair
Okay,
when it comes
okay.
to immigration.
tell me which part of the law is not fair.
People from Europe come in. I mean, the way they treat them is different from people coming from Africa. Let's just be real about
How?
it. So I'm not saying that they should open
How?
the borders,
You tell me
but it should
how.
be more
Because the
accommodating
thing is,
immigration
you
wise.
see,
Sensible immigration
Let him
policy.
finish.
again, I've already told you. Look, if you don't understand what I just said, you can search it online and find out. When it comes to granting immigrant visas, there's something they call chargeability and there's something they call priority. You understand?
All
And then
right.
there
I'm
are
not arguing about
classifications
that.
as
But I'm
to
not arguing about that.
family
I'm not arguing
family
about that.
based
I'm arguing
visas
about the
and work
ban.
visas. So everything is in the
All right.
law, black and white. You can go and read it.
But I'm not arguing
Let
about
me
that
chime
though.
in
So
here.
what?
Let,
So
let
what
me
are you
chime
arguing
in.
about then?
Let
No,
me
that's what
chime
I'm
in
arguing
here.
about.
Let me
I
chime
want it
in
to be
here.
fair.
Let me chime in here, just for the sake of order. Let me chime in here. So, Mr. Mobolaji wants a fair immigration system. He agrees that the border right now is broken. Things are not going on well. Mr. Ayo just wants the laws on the books to be enforced. If the laws on the books are enforced, we will not have the situation we currently have at the borders. That's what I think. What both of you are saying. Say that the Republican Party is not supportive of immigrants. That's not the experience of many people. Some people have an experience that it was during the Republican administration that they got their immigration papers and all of that, and some even in a Democratic administration still find it difficult to get their papers and things like that. So I think painting broadly that the Republicans are anti-immigration may not necessarily be true, but most immigrants you will find out are supportive of the Democratic Party. I think that's the truth. Another fact that I think it's important to put on the table is that when Trump was the early days of the Trump presidency, he actually had the Muslim ban. It was not Biden that lifted the Muslim ban. The Muslim ban was lifted way, way, way longer before Biden became president. Maybe there were some other immigration laws, immigration executive
The
orders.
Nigerian ban was lifted by Biden. Just
Well,
so you know.
yeah, maybe there are some other immigration laws that um, Biden lifted, but the Muslim ban, the one that he had immediately when he became president, that one was lifted a long time ago. I want us to talk about the economy. We need to start wrapping up. Let's talk about the economy. Whose economy? I mean, in which economy will the immigrant fare better? An economy led by Donald Trump, a businessman, a man who knows how to cut deals, and an economy by Kamala Harris. Mr. Mbolaji said something earlier on. He said that, oh, you vote based on
Policy.
the
Personality and
personality and
policy.
policy. The question that most people have is we don't know the personality of Kamala Harris right now. Most people have not had a chance to really know her personality. But we know Trump, we know his personality, we know what to expect. But can anybody really tell us that they know who Kamala Harris is? The another thing
Yes,
that
we can look at our track record. I mean, look at Kamala Harris' track record.
well, I mean, when you are joining somebody in their on when you are going to a party like the example you gave and you're looking at people the table to sit on, you are not checking their track record. You're looking at the person that you feel like you can jive with. Somebody who is not closed off, right? Somebody who's not
Mhm.
dependent on teleprompter all the time. So that's one thing that we don't really, it's not giving us opportunity to, we've not had the opportunity to really feel her out and really get a good sense of her personality, which is what going on Joe Rogan could have done for her. She decided not to do it, or she was stipulating some things for Joe Rogan.
No, but you can understand the timing too. the time into, like, she just became the candidate, like how many months ago? Just a couple of weeks ago
Yes,
That,
is when she became
and we
that's
can
the
also talk
candidate.
by
about the
itself
process.
is that's by itself is a problem.
That
I hope we're going to get to that.
yes,
That by itself is a problem.
yes. Let's talk about that now before we talk about the economy, and we'll talk about the economy, and then we'll round up the process by which Kamala Harris became the nominee of the Democratic Party. Many people have issues with that. What do you say to that, Mr. Ayo? And then I'll go to
Okay.
Mr.
You see, Democrats love to say,
Please, let's make it short. Let's make it short.
sorry.
Let's make it short.
Okay. You see, Democrats love to say, oh, we want to protect democracy. We care about democracy. But then when it comes to the way they act, you can see that many of their actions are actually anti-democratic. So let's focus on how did Kamala get into the position she got to today. In 2020, if you follow the primaries of the Democratic Party, you know that Biden would not have won that nomination. How did he win? Because by the time they have done like 3 or 4 states, they find that Biden was lagging behind. Now
Yeah,
they discover that,
let's
look,
focus on Kamala Harris's.
okay, okay, all right. Maybe we'll have some other time to talk about. So essentially,
Yes.
now, prior to July 21st, when they push out Biden and replace him with Kamala, everybody wants us to believe that Biden was the strongest person, the best person that could rule, that could govern America, right? That was the best man for the job. When you see pictures of him frozen or losing his chain of thought, they say, oh, it was some AI generated something from right wing, whatever. Until June 27, when that debate happened between him and Donald Trump. And you know the reason why that debate happened? Because his polling number was going down. Before then, he was saying he was not going to debate Trump because he doesn't want to legitimize him or whatever it was then. Because they felt the only way they can show his polling number up would be to have him face to face with Trump so that they can expose the so-called weakness or weaknesses of Trump. Unfortunately, it turns out badly for him. And from that day, you see what Democrats started doing? Say, this guy cannot do it. This guy cannot do it, and all of those things. So they knew from time that this guy was not up to the job, but they still decided to push him anyway until when he was exposed in the front of the whole world for who he really was. The only reason,
That's not true.
so don't forget that as after that point, Biden was already voted in by Democrat primary voters, 40 million of them, to become their nominee for a second term. So, but there they find out that, look, this guy cannot win. And because they find out the guy can no longer win, and it's obvious to everybody now. So the only thing they care about is
That's
winning
not true.
and clinching onto power. So they felt the only way to do that would be to substitute Biden. So all this talk about he was putting country over self, they're just nonsense. I hate to say this. It's just balderdash.
Okay, so
So everybody
thank
knows
you.
And then,
that
so,
the only reason why they switched to Kamala was because they felt Biden could no longer win against Trump. So they felt
Okay.
so what is wrong about
So
switching?
in saying that we care about democracy,
I mean, so
what,
what is
what
wrong
happens
about
to the 40 million
switching?
voters who voted for Biden? They didn't care about those voters
The
anymore.
person.
All they care about is we want to win. And now the thing
So
is,
when
now,
I'm getting it wrong,
if they
sir.
really care about democracy, if they really care about democracy, you would think that they will still conduct some kind of maybe a short-term election, some kind of maybe short-term primary or whatever, at least to be able to let the voters decide who's going to be eventually. But guess what? Because of the identity politics, it will be difficult for Democrats to jump over a black woman.
That is
Black,
not true. That is
a
not true,
black
sir.
woman to jump over that and select somebody else. So they felt, even though at that
That is
time
not
she
true.
was polling badly, even worse than Biden. So they felt, you know what, if you don't want to create because of the identity politics that Democrats have been known for, the only way we can do this is just put a black woman there.
No,
So
that's
they knew
actually
that
not
if they
true.
throw
So
it open,
you
Kamala
are
would
not the
probably not
party.
become the
You're not the
candidate.
party
let me chime in.
representative.
Mr. Mobolaji, before you
So how do
respond,
I know
let me
that?
chime in.
Because way back in 2019,
Okay.
Kamala did not even make it to the primary.
All
You
right.
understand what I'm saying? So
So
essentially,
you've
But that
made your
doesn't
point.
matter.
let's
And you
push
made it
away
now. That doesn't
democracy
matter.
in order to install a
You've
candidate that
made
they
your
wanted.
point. Yeah, you've made your point, Mr. Ayo. You've made your point. I want Mr. Mobolaji to respond, but please, I don't want you to interrupt him. Please don't interrupt Mr.
Okay.
Mobolaji. Please respond.
So quickly, first of all, he talked about Biden's age. By the way, Trump is actually 78 years old. He's in Biden's age mate. So I think the problem that you guys have is that you now saw that the Democrats brought somebody who is younger, and then it became a problem for the Republican Party because they now said, oh, these people brought somebody who is younger and sharper than Biden. Yes, I agree that Biden was old, but remember something, that you are not the party's candidate until after you accept at the convention. It's not like Biden has already accepted that, oh, okay, he's the nominee at the convention. This was all done before the convention. Now, let me tell you something that will surprise you. Assuming Trump knew that, assuming the Republicans knew that Harris would become the nominee, they would have found a way to push Trump out before he accepted at the Republican convention and put Nikki Haley there. But guess what? They didn't know that. So when they now saw that the Democrats are now replacing Biden with Harris, they were so scared in their boots. They started coming out with all these distraction tactics. They were so
You
scared in their
really
boots that,
think
oh,
someone can push Trump out of the Republican Party? If they
he will
could,
not, because
they
he's
would
a
have done
selfish
it since.
individual. He will not be like Biden. So Biden put the party before himself, knowing that, you know what, this person can do better than me.
That's the
There's nothing
narrative.
wrong with that, saying that, you know what, this person can do better than me. Yes, 14,000 people did vote for Biden to be the nominee, but guess what? He hasn't accepted yet until you accept the nominee. So let's have that at the back of our heads, that he hasn't accepted to be the nominee yet. Assuming he came to the convention and they gave it to Biden and they now switched it out, then we can say he was pushed out, right? But Biden had not
Yeah.
even accepted the nominee yet.
I think
So it's legal.
you're just being
I mean,
technical, which
did
is
you
fine.
just
You're
did
just
you, did you just listen to yourself?
um, no,
Did
no,
you
no.
just
Okay,
listen to
let's
yourself?
let me finish. Let me
That was
finish.
coming
I
from
think
a
we're just being
party
technical, right?
that's claimed to promote democracy. Really?
So let's move over to the
It's
economy.
party first.
Let's move over to the economy as we round up here. Whose economy would be better? And let me ask it like this: look at your own personal life. 4 years of Trump and the 4 years of Biden. Honestly speaking, which economy was better for you at a personal level? That's what I want us to start with. At a personal, let's not talk macroeconomics and the country. You personally, your family, how was the 4 years of Trump and the 4 years of Biden for you? Yes, we know COVID was there, but you can
I
still
think
give
I
us
think I think Biden is better. For me, I think Biden's play was better
how.
for the fact that we are now in a there's inflation all around the world. All around the world there's inflation. Trump was there pre-COVID and it was still bad. The deals he made with China were bad deals. Things were expensive. Even if you wanted to order things on Amazon, it was expensive. They were coming from China because of all those trade deals that he made, which were bad, very, very bad deals. Now, COVID came. Remember that COVID came. Remember that there's inflation all around the world, and we're still surviving. If you go to some other countries, you see things have like tripled, more than tripled. You know, so I believe that Biden's time is better. There's jobs. Let's look at the job report. There's so many jobs out there. They're just not professionals to fill that job, right? During the Trump era, let's compare the employment the employment numbers. Let's compare them. So during the Biden era, more contracts went out. People who are contractors, some people are even doing two jobs, can do two jobs during the Biden era right now. So it's better in my position. The fact that we're in inflation and things are still this way, I feel like it's better.
Okay, Mr. Ayo.
Yeah. You see, everyone who lived under the Trump economy and live under this current economy by Biden and Harris knows that it's a stark difference. And if all of us will be honest with ourselves, you know that economically speaking, things were much better under Trump than what we are experiencing right now. Now, it's easy for people to say, inflation is all over the world. But I tell them, look, I don't live all over the world. I live in America. I spend dollar. I hand dollar. So everything I do it here. So it doesn't matter to me what happens in UK. It doesn't matter to me what happened in China. What matters to me is what happened here. Now, coming to see the difference. before Biden, I mean, in the Biden economy, a bag of rice that I used to buy for about $20, that same bag of rice under the Biden under Trump, I used to buy it at about $20 under Trump's economy. Today, I will spend about $70 to buy the same bag of rice.
Okay.
Under the Biden economy, I feel I feel my gas. I mean my car. I feel the gas at least 6 times in a month. Under the Biden economy, even now that the price is now about $3 something, at the height when it was like 50, I mean $5 or something, I was spending about 80 something dollars. So multiply $80 by six. You know what that is? Now, even now they claim, oh, it's come down. It's still higher than what it was under Trump. Now I feel even right now, to fill my tank, I still spend close to $50. I do that 6 times in a month. That's $300. Multiplied by that 12 months. That's under the Biden economy. So I spend more money more, filling my gas tank much more than I spent under Trump. Why? Because of their policy. They say you cannot, because your so-called climate, whatever, you cannot do this or you cannot do this way. But then you say you cannot do it in America, but you go to other countries and importing fuel from Venezuela, from Saudi Arabia. So those ones, their own drilling does not affect the environment. So because of their policy, their energy policy, the gas price has gone up and I spend so much. That's another thing.
Okay.
A gallon of canola oil that I buy for maybe about $17 under Trump. The same gallon of gas, I mean, the same gallon of oil, canola oil, if I want to buy it at BJ today, it will cost me close to $60. So there's so many things I can lay examples like that of how
That's
things
everywhere.
have gone up so much under Biden because of their policy compared to Trump. And they have every opportunity to make things better, but they're not. Now, so people can talk
Like
about
how?
inflation is everywhere. Okay, inflation is everywhere, but what I'm talking about is here. Here is what I'm
Okay.
talking about, based on what somebody has done. Because some of the what contributed to the inflation that we have now, and high prices that we have now, is because of their policy, and they're not ready to change those policies. So I can guarantee you, if Kamala wins, that is going to get worse because it's not going to change anything. She said it herself. He said they asked her multiple times, "Is there anything that you're going to do differently?" He said nothing. So if you're saying nothing you're going to do differently, and you know that their policy that is causing the current price increases everywhere. Take, for example, my car insurance combined with my home insurance. Under Trump, I was, for everything combined, 2 cars, 1 house. All the insurance combined together, I pay less than $200 every month. You know how much I pay now? $130. Yes, every month.
For
So,
this?
so you see
Oh,
all of those
wow.
things. So, and
That's
I
a
said,
bargain.
somebody,
Please, when you finish, give me the
the
name
good
of
thing
that
that we have,
insurance.
the
Me
good thing that we
too.
have about this
Me
election
too.
is we have two candidates that we can compare what they have done side by side. Those kind of things doesn't happen all the time. Where you can compare what
But
you get most of the
Kamala
time
has
you
not
have the
has never
current
been president. Though.
government and then a brand new candidate. But now you have a current administration and the one before it that you can compare side by side. And so if he's talking about their track record. So if I have to go by the record that I have right now, of course I'm going to go by the one that I had before this current one, which works better for me. And that is what is going to inform the kind of vote I'm going to cast. So when it comes to the economy, of course, Trump has it. Kamala doesn't.
Okay. Thank you so much. Now, closing argument. We're going to have our closing argument right now. Want Mr. Mobolaji to go. Obviously, nobody was expecting that anybody would be convinced otherwise, but I just thought it was important for us to put on our Christian hat, put on our immigrant hat, and help others make that decision. Say, I wanted to speak to, they say that there are undecided voters. I don't think there are undecided voters. I think most people
Most people have
decided
made up their mind.
or have made up their mind. But maybe there is one person. Tamobolaji, if you could speak to that one person, summarize your points in 90 seconds, why they should vote for Kamala Harris and why you feel strongly that immigrants should be supportive of our policies. And
Well,
Christians,
I'm not gonna say. I'm not gonna say
we didn't
vote
even get
for.
to things like abortion and
Yeah, no.
same-sex marriage and all of that. But we don't have the time to get there today. I just wanted to give you your closing argument, and then I'll let Mr. do the same.
So in closing, I'm not gonna say vote for this person or vote for that person, but you know what you want. You're an immigrant, right? You know the candidate that will give you more opportunities, the candidate that will allow you to, to do the things to grow, even in this country. They say America is the land full of honey, right? So the candidate that will allow you to grow, the candidate that will, the party that will not segregate you, that will not hate you, right? The party that will, have common sense abortion laws in place. The party, that will make sure that the rich pay their fair due of taxes and not just you, the middle class. Because whether we like it or not, many of us, we are middle class, unless you're making above $5 million or so. So you're the one who is carrying America's economy on your backs. But if you want look at both candidates, the difference is clear. There's a candidate that his track record is fraud, right? Most businesses, he filed for bankruptcies many times. His businesses have failed, right? Everything is not really as it says it is. So you know what you want, right? You know somebody that will bring in sensible gun control laws, somebody that will bring in sensible immigration laws. So that's the person you should vote for. So I won't tell you to vote for this person or that person, but vote for that person that you know that as an immigrant will help you out. And
Thank
that's my
you.
closing argument.
Thank you, Mr. Ayo.
Yeah, you see, when Democrats talk about a fair share or something, you see, they throw around words a lot. But when you tell them to explain what exactly they mean, they can't. They always talk about the rich will pay their fair share. But when you ask them what exactly is the fair share, they can't define it. Because to them, the rich is a problem. But guess what? America is a land of opportunity. People want to come here because they feel that when they get here, they can make themselves to be the best the environment could make them to be. But guess what? In an environment where government want to make you feel like you are the victim, that you cannot do things on your own, let the government get out of the way. Let the government provide an enabling environment and let people do what they can do best. That is the kind of policy that the Republican Party espouses. That look, get the government out of the way so that people can thrive. Democrat will want you to believe that unless government give you handouts, you cannot thrive. I mean, it's better for somebody to teach you how to fish than to say, I'm going to give you a fish. Because the day the person is not there, you starve. But when they teach you how to fish and you can go out on your own and fish, that is kind of environment that the Republican Party espouses. Now, coming to the economy, it's a great thing that this is a kind of unique election where you have two candidates that you can compare side by side. You have the one that was there 4 years ago. You have the one that has been there for the past 4 years. You have seen what both of them can do. I mean, if you've been here for a while, you know who Trump is. You know what he can do. Yes, I mean, you may not like the way he talks. You may not like his tweets. Right. But then at the end of the day, you look at the policy. You understand? Because even if you vote for the other side, it's not either of them cannot be your Sunday school teacher, if you're a believer, for example. Either of them cannot be your imam, if you're a Muslim. But the fact is, they're going to go there and implement a policy. Now, look at those policies. They will tell you, the liberal media will tell you that Republicans don't like immigrants. That is not true. That is the narrative that they want to push every day. Republicans don't have anything against immigrants. But if you are somebody who cares about fairness, who cares
Yes.
about the rule of law, which Americans stand for, then you have to know, is it that somebody who has been staying in line for years and somebody who can just break in and get in and then stays? So the choice is clear. But you know what? Everybody can do the research themselves. I came here as an immigrant. When I first came in here, I voted Democrat like everybody else. But after a while, I have to start doing research on my own. And I find that, look, things are not exactly the way they are. But it will take us to actually do those research ourselves and throw out all this narrative that the media, whether right or left, are throwing at us. By then, we'll be able to see exactly what is best for us. And what is best for us, nobody can replace it. But let the government get out of the way and let the people thrive. That's what the Republican Party stands for. If you vote for them, good
Thank you
for you.
so much.
But everybody is free to make their choices. And that's why politics and democracy is all about. So if you like
Thank you.
what Trump did, what he was there, vote for him. If Kamala is what you feel great about, go ahead, vote for her too. But the important thing is every one of us will live the consequences of their choices. So which choice we want to live
Yes.
by, let that dictate the person that you're going to vote for. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you. That was such a powerful and lengthy closing argument. And Mr. Mobolaji, I had to drop off. Thank you so much for joining tonight. I really appreciate you engaging so passionately. And I hope this conversation has been meaningful for people listening to us. I hope it has informed your choices one way or the other. And I look forward to having these kinds of conversations in the future. Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. God bless.
Thank you, sir. Yes.